I wanted to ask you guys a question. I figured y'all have the answer. I want to understand more about the exes. So if this is you, then you guys help us understand. I'm sure a lot of people want to know the answer to this one. Why is it that people return after breakups? Like, why do they do that? You guys go ahead and pop it in the chat. Why the exes return? Let me know. Let me know. Inquiring minds want to know why the exes return. So go ahead, pop it in the chat. I'm sure you're going to help a lot of people out by just giving us information. Why do you guys think the exes return? Tell me everything. Hello there, C. Welcome. So yeah, we're talking about why the exes come back. Why in the world do they return? Because you guys know that there's sometimes was like a kind of a wild ride at the end, a kind of a wild breakup. And you think, gosh, this is horrible. Why would they return? And then out of nowhere, here they come. So I'm curious to know how you guys feel about it. Why you think exes return? What's their goal? Do they have an end game? Is it random? Let me know. Pop it in the chat. And welcome everybody. You guys popping in to YouTube, Victory Life Podcast 7603. Welcome. Curious to know, inquiring minds want to know why the exes return. Why do they do that? Why in the world do they do that? Why do they always do it? Let me know. So if you guys feel like you are an ex who has returned, tell us why that has happened. We would love to know. All of the men and women who are sitting behind, having been on the experiential side of this, want to know how and why does this even happen. Someone said the reason why exes come back is because they know they can. Oh my God. We all feel condemned by that statement. Why do they come back, y'all? Let me know. And I'll let you know what I think about it too. Y'all pop it in the chat. Why exes come back? Let me know. Welcome everybody. At the same time, let's go everybody. Everybody hit the like button at the same time. Boop. Everybody hit the share button at the same time. Boop. Everybody hit subscribe at the same time. We're talking about why exes return. I just want to know from you guys. I figure y'all will have the answers in this case. Why do they show up again? I'm just curious. Why do they show up again? Why do they show up? Why does it seem like, even if it was like kind of a rocky road, a bumpy road, and then an ending, why do they circle and then like, turn the car around, and let's say 6 months later they show up again? Why do they do that? Because if so, well then why did they leave? Why did they leave and then they come back? Tell me. I gotta know. Y'all talk to me. Welcome back everybody. We're talking about why the exes return. I call it recycled relationships. Why do you think they do that? I don't know. Tell me. Let's go. You guys are piling up in here in the chat. Let me know why you guys think the exes return, the return of the ex. Why would they do such a thing? I have like a few thoughts of my own about this, why they return. I think it sometimes has more to do with why they left than anything. So, for example, let's say they left and they were going to go explore a new person and see how it worked out. I think when there's trouble in paradise on the other side, I think sometimes they start to like linger on the last person that came to mind that they felt like treated them well. So it doesn't matter if it's, one person or the next, male or female. It's like once someone exits with the expectation that it's going to go really well, and then it kind of takes a side turn, I think what happens is I think they begin to think about like, when was the last time I was happy? You know, like who brought that joy to me, and then they return to that. And I think that's what happens. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for the badge. Hello, Port. Welcome. So yeah, I'm curious. It's a bunch of reasons. You guys tell me what you think the reasons are. Why do people come back? Why do they? Ooh, someone said small-minded and bruised ego syndrome. Oh my goodness. Welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome. We're talking about why exes return. I wonder what can be gained from such a thing. Welcome if you're from Iran. Welcome. We're talking about why our exes come back. I'm just curious what you guys think about it. Why do you guys think they come back? I'm curious. I mean, I think it's, somebody says it varies. Yeah, it does vary. It varies on why they left. I mean, if they thought I'm gonna leave and I can do better, then sometimes they go out there and by comparison, they realize that the grass is not greener on the other side, and then they come back. Um, Someone said possibly they miss me. Interesting. I think that's possible. I mean, I think it's possible when someone misses one another. Like, I think we underrate how much in relationships we feel a sense of like companionship as well, right? And with that, I think people leave and they exit looking maybe for something more aesthetically pleasing, but then they return because they realize, wait, I wanted the whole picture and that person's kind of mean or nasty. So yeah. Welcome everybody. I'm asking you guys, why do we think exes return? I'm just curious. Everybody hit the like button really quick, and then everybody subscribe if you haven't already. Hit those two buttons and let's keep it moving. Somebody said, or they want someone to fall back on and it's easier with an ex. Ooch. You know, I have a thing against being number two. Like, I don't want to know I'm number two. I just don't want to know it. I mean, I'm sure there's always someone's number one and someone's always someone's number two, but I just don't want to know about it. I need ignorance to be bliss in some cases. How about that? Someone says, "Oh, you haven't missed anything yet. I just wanted to know from everybody, why do exes return? Like, why does that happen? You guys tell me, why do they return? What is their goal? If they return, what does it mean about them having left? Like, did they even leave for a valid reason if they show up again? Why is that?" Welcome everybody. Yeah, we're talking about why exes return. Why they like turn around and come back to the window like a drive-through. Bum. Welcome back everybody. Welcome, welcome. We're talking about why exes return. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Are you guys looking at this like exes return because they're just looking for a backup plan? Like, is that what that means? What does that mean? You tell me. Welcome everybody. Okay, so I see one of the reasons is because they are self-deceived. They say they love you because they only think they love you. Ouch. They only think they love you, but they say they love you. Yeah, I think we should be careful using that four-letter word. I think we should use that one with caution. That we should use that as caution. Yes, yes. Welcome back, everybody. We're talking about why exes return. Why do they do that? Why do they do that? I just kind of feel like that happens. That actually happens to me a lot, and I don't know why. I actually don't know why, but they seem to return a lot, and they seem to be fine when they leave. It happens all the time. Someone says it's a form of desperation. I mean, if they seem like they're fine when they leave, then why would they ever come back? Like, that seems like they're happy about leaving, so that means they're good, right? So then why come back? Let's see. Let me see what you guys over here are talking about. We're asking, why do exes return? Why is that so? Why is it so? I do not know what that means. Welcome back, everybody. We're talking about why exes return. Why do you guys think they do? Why do they leave? If they're gonna be returning, what's the proper reason for leaving if you're kind of only halfway exiting? Is it because really there's just someone else that you're checking out for, like, you know, kind of like Ross on Friends, like they were on a break kind of a thing? Is it because there's like a third party thing? Do you guys know what I'm saying? Is that what it is? Is it like, okay, there's a third party thing. I want to check this other person out. And then, oops, I checked them out. I don't really like this. The other thing was more valid. I'm going to go back. Is that what it is? Somebody says if they return, it's because they missed the person and that person is truly amazing. Well, you know what? That takes a lot of humbleness to return, because you're like, wait a second, I realize I just got it all wrong. I mean, honestly, if you return and you're like coming off that kind of energy, I almost think you have to be super vulnerable, because otherwise it's just going to end up being like potentially a missed opportunity. Because at the end of the day, I mean, how does a person know that you're not just convenient versus that they realize that you're truly amazing? I think most people feel kind of thrown away when you leave. And then when you come back, they're like, well, I'm confused. I'm like, post being thrown away, now I'm just confused. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just curious. Let's see what you guys have to say about it. I think the most interesting thing that people do is sometimes they don't say they're returning. They say they left something at your house. Who's been there? Who's had someone say, you know, I left something at my house. You know, I left something over there. Can I come check and see if I left it there? I'm like, I'll check for you. No need for that. I'll check for you. I'll mail it to you if I find it. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, we're talking about why exes leave. And I think it brings a thought to mind. If people leave, you know, was their reason for leaving valid if they come back? Did they leave under like some kind of weird reason? If they're coming back all of a sudden, it means they didn't really leave with like true intentions of like exiting forever. Someone says maybe they need that separation to help somewhat to realize how special that person is. Oh, wow. I hope that never happens to me. I hope that I can just be special without someone having to separate in order to understand that I'm special. But I can get that. I mean, I guess the less experience you have, it's the feeling of distance can remind you of the connection, I suppose. I suppose that could be possible. I suppose it's possible for a lot of people. I don't know. This is like a hard topic for me, because when I think about it, I just don't want to be that person who's like, oh, wait, I didn't think you were like awesome, so I left you. And then they come back, well, no, you're awesome. It feels kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. Y'all, what do we think we should do? Do y'all think we should just like, when we do a breakup, do you think we should like block the person? Like, just as soon as it's all done, just block them so we don't have to deal with that? Because I'm one of those people that like every boyfriend has come back at some point, and I actually don't even know why. I don't even know why. I mean, some of those relationships were not awesome, so I don't even know why they came back. But they always seem to come back, and I'm always kind of confused. And like some of them were not even toxic; they just didn't do anything. So I'm like, why did they come back? I don't get it. Someone said relationships are tough. Therefore, the strong at heart and forgiving. Oof. Relationships are tough. Someone said it's a form of desperation. Welcome, everybody. We're talking about why people return after their little hiatus, why they exit relationships, and what does it mean when they exit and then they come back? What does that even mean? I'm just curious. I always feel like it's they're exiting because they're playing the field. That's just my opinion. I always think they're not certain and they're playing the field, but I suppose it could be super innocent. I suppose it could just feel like a lot of pressure. That's pretty innocent. Like, if you feel like there's a lot of pressure and you just don't think you can manage the pressure of that relationship, and you just figure I need a break because I don't want to have to like figure out how to structure this whole thing. I suppose that could be a reason why. Let me know. Let's see what you guys are talking about in here. You guys can ask me anything. You can pop it in the chat if you guys have a question, a topic, or a comment. Yeah, I wanted to start off with a little bit of that because I just wanted to know. Just curious. Just curious. Thank you for the badge, Jay. Thank you. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, we're talking about why people exit relationships and then why they come back. I don't know why they do that. Y'all, can I tell y'all something? So, someone left some really like expensive coconut, like some, it's like oil that you drink. It's like a triglyceride. Um, one of these like beefy people. So I just left it there for the longest time, and then like I've been on my whole fitness journey, and so like today I was like, you know what? I want to like Google about this like MCT oil and see what it is and see how it's used. And I Google about it, and I'm like, okay, you can like have a little taste of it, and it's gonna help you with like your brain health and all the kind of good things. So I started to take it, and then I realized it's just expired by like, it expired in August, and it's like the last day or two of whatever of August. And I'm like, oh wow, I really wanted to try this, and I really wanted to try their other protein thing. And I'm like, well, I'm just gonna taste it just in case. So I tasted the little oil, and now I'm like, oh man, I have a whole bottle of this oil, and I'm pretty sure it's not cheap, because if you cook with like fancy cooking oils, then those things are not cheap. They're actually really expensive. I'm like, I'm not about to throw away this oil, but I'm not gonna drink it. So I decided that like I'm gonna use it for like lotion, and I used it on my lips today, and I'm gonna use it like as like a facial cleanser. I figured I'm gonna get something out of that relationship. If I got nothing else, I got MCT oil to clean my face, moisturize my lips, and like soothe my skin. Okay, that's weird. I know that's getting kind of weird. Let's see, what are you guys up to in here? Yeah, I'm repurposing it. I decided, like, I went and I read, I'm like, oh, you can use it on your cuticles. You can use it as cuticle oil. You can use it like as lip balm, and I could use it like as part of like my double cleanser. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm about to use this bottle of oil up, even though I'm afraid to drink it. So yeah, but I mean, I did taste it, and it didn't taste like anything actually. I was like, okay. It's like one of those things, you take the little triglycerides, you drop a couple of the drops in your thing. And I think if you're like super duper a beefcake and you burn all your fats because you're like pumping iron, I think you're eating that so that you have enough fats for your macros. Because like there gets to be a point where you burn so much and you probably aren't even able to eat enough as much as you burn, that you have to like actually eat the fats. So I think that's might be what it's for. I mean, I'll let y'all call my ex, and then you guys can ask him why he's drinking MCT oil. All right, let's see. On the other side of things, God could allow an ex to come back so that he'll have a chance to operate in forgiveness, not always for reconciliation, yet forgiveness must happen for believers. Oh, that is so sweet. You know what? That's good. That's really good stuff. It's kind of like that comment hit me later. Um, I see questions popping in the chat, you guys. Go ahead and flood the chat with your questions because I'm taking questions. Let's see what we got here. My first question. You guys were on YouTube, Victory Life Podcast 7603. So come on over, join us. What's the first thing one should consider when building a brand for the first time? Ooh. Think about your brand as like, what would you be doing, and what would you be doing and good at doing, and people would find useful? What would you be doing if you're not getting paid? I think that's the first thing you would think of, because being an entrepreneur is so hard that I think you have to have a whole passion for what you do. There's got to be a driving force behind what you do, or you're just not doing it. if that makes any sense. Like, I think you have to have some kind of driving force. Like, if you lost someone in your life that you loved, and whatever you're doing is going to create healing for people who have a similar situation, that will motivate you when you're tired and wiped out. So I think you have to think about what is it that you're going to be doing, and not because you're doing it because you love it. It's, of course you love it, but how does the outsider think of what you do? Because at the end of the day, you could have a great service or product. And by the way, guys who are just joining in, this seems like it's Ask Me Anything now. So people are popping their questions in the chat, random questions, and I'm taking their questions. So someone asked me the question about what do I think about when I think about building a brand for the first time. Someone's asking that question. I'm answering that question. So I think first you want to think about like what you love to do and what people are going to find useful. Because what happens is if you love to do something, but normally people don't find that useful, then that becomes a hobby that doesn't pay. And it's not even something that is a business. So your idea has to be an idea that people will see as a worthwhile investment. Before you even get to monetizing it, would someone see it as something worthwhile to have, is what I would say. So I think you have to think like the customer or the patron for a bit before you start. And when you're thinking about what you love, you have to think about from the customer or patron perspective. Given that you love this, how are they going to receive it? Like, what's going to entice them to have the service, participate in it, connect with you? What's going to entice them? What's in it for them? Like that's the first thing I think you have to think of, is the what's in it for me statement. And what's in it for me is not what's in it for you, it's what's in it for the customer. Because if there's nothing in it for them, they won't buy or they won't participate. And then you've built something that's not being consumed, which was a waste of your time and money and energy. And then you could be passionate about it, but eventually it's going to burn out if you're not getting a return. So I think from the customer's perspective, what do people need? What problem are you solving for them? So when you think about what you're passionate about, passion can't just be like passion. It has to be, what problem am I solving? So let's say, for instance, I'm a dance teacher and sometimes I teach dance. What problem am I solving for dance people who are learning to dance? Some people feel like they have two left feet. Some people go out to events and they feel like they don't know how to properly socialize. Some people are looking for an easier way to feel less awkward in group settings. People are looking for something different. And then how can I help them by dancing? Well, I talk to them about how you might socialize while I'm teaching them dance. I might, crack jokes, be like, no, seriously, this is what you can do. I talk to them about how they might position their body to like make sure that they look most attractive in a photo. That's going to help them meet more people if they're struggling to socialize. So I do little things to help them along the way, and people find that useful. So you just got to find out if you're passionate about something, whatever that is, what's the so what for people, the patrons? What's the so what for them? So you're passionate about it. So what? Why do I want it? Why do I need it? How is it going to make my life different? And I think you also have to figure out how to create, like, use your brand in a way that, and guys, we're doing Ask Me Anything. If you just popped in there, be sure to like the stream and be sure to subscribe. We're talking about brand. And then I'm going to get to Mr. C's question, because people that watch my stream already know the answer to that question. Let's see. I think you should think about that. I think when you're thinking about a brand, I think you have to think about like funnel strategies, that you don't have a business unless you're collecting data. And here's an example. So if you're not collecting emails through some sort of lead, then what happens when Instagram blocks your work, or, You guys know what I'm saying? Social media. I don't want to blame it on Instagram. They're lovely, wonderful people. But whatever social media, whatever media that you're working off of, where you bring in your money, what happens when they go dark one day and they block you or they demonetize you for whatever reason? I've seen it happen to plenty of content creators, etc. You have to have a way of overnight fixing that. And if there's a block with social media, then you have to have a way overnight of fixing it. And you can't unless you have emails. So you can't unless you have phone numbers. You can't unless you have a community. So I think you have to also think about serving people in a way that is so pure that is useful to them. I think you have to figure out making sure that you actually quote unquote have a business, meaning if you don't have data on people that you're serving, you don't have a business. And then I think you have to think about ways of getting them to ease their way in and then twisting it and turning it into monetization. I think those are the things you have to think about. A lot of people are good at giving away free stuff, but you've got to get them to get to a point where they will buy stuff. That's what I think has to happen. If you don't do that, you don't have a business. Now, your brand is how do they recognize you in a quick, like, in a quick glance, how do they recognize you? Different people have different brands. For some people, their brand is like their beautiful face. That's their brand, you know? Like you think about somebody like Pamela Anderson, not to bring up somebody just random, but you know, she came to mind. You know, Pamela Anderson, like her face was her brand. Like you think of Pamela Anderson, if she had black hair, it wouldn't be Pamela Anderson. This is like a blonde hair girl, like the bathing suit, Baywatch woman. When you think of Pamela Anderson, you think of like the Barbie doll, the blonde Barbie. That's her brand. So her brand is not like being intellectually complex. Her brand is not, I'm so cerebral, I can teach you things. Her brand is, this is my face, I'm beautiful. And she didn't have to like think much or know much in her earlier days. But if you look at her brand now, look at how she's adjusting. Because as a young, beautiful woman, now she's starting to, not saying that she doesn't look beautiful, she's just, you know, a mature, beautiful woman, right? So if you look at her, she's doing different roles. Before she was doing Baywatch and in a bathing suit. Now she's doing roles that are more like action movies. You're seeing her being vulnerable about her love interest. She's changing her brand. Have you noticed that? So she's changing her brand from, I'll just say it, dumb blonde or Barbie doll or do you guys see what I'm saying? She's changing her brand from that into like being a person. She wants to be taken seriously as an actress. So she's changing her brand to be like, I don't want to do movies where I'm dumb. I want to do movies where like I'm involved in action or where my character is a serious role. And then she's like showing herself vulnerable and in love. So she's not showing herself as a party girl or a toy. She's showing herself in what looks like a relationship with whatever his name is, Niam, whatever his name is. She's showing herself with him as having a mature, vulnerable relationship where she's in love. Notice she gets photographed, her hair tossing back, her foot up, and she's showing I'm in love. She's not showing I'm for the bedroom. She's showing that like I'm a forever girl. So she's moving her brand from being someone who's less serious to someone more serious. She's moving it from being more just visually, aesthetically pleasing to someone who has more internal characteristics that you might want to understand or learn about. So I'm curious to see how it's going to adjust over time, if she's going to start getting into like wellness products or into therapy, talk therapy kinds of things. But for now, it's interesting to watch her journey because she was before just someone who was physically attractive. And was she probably a little smart the whole time? She probably was, you know, but she's changed. So yeah. So I think that's the thing with brand is you have to think about who are you, pardon me, who are you serving? What's the what if, what's in it for them? And then you're thinking, okay, if this is my passion, how do I, because your passion might not do a one-to-one translation with how you serve them. You may have to adjust what you're passionate about to ensure that that how you serve them makes sense and can be monetized. Because if at the end of the day you can't monetize, then that's a whole nother issue. It means you're going to be starting all over again, and you may start over several times until you get something that hits. So that's one thing I want to talk about. And then when it comes to your brand, it's when people see it, what's the look and feel. So for instance, Krispy Kreme, part of their brand is hot now. You know, you see the big old sign. If you don't know Krispy Kreme, it's a donut shop. And we have one in Atlanta, but we have them in the United States. So sometimes you look at like the sign, the logo, and you immediately think, like I said Krispy Kreme and then I said hot now. They actually have a sign that says hot now. So what is it trying to communicate? We have food, it's yummy and delicious, and it's hot. It's fresh and hot. So they're appealing to your flesh. And that's their brand. Their brand is not that they're the healthiest item. Like, so they're not trying to say don't come eat here if you eat healthy. They're saying if you want something savory and delicious and you want to splurge, hey, it's hot now. Does that make sense? So you have to think about what do you want to do, like, and then your like logos and the eye-catchy thing. You want to be remembered for something. So something for your brand that you just kind of scroll and then it catches you on a glance, that's really your brand. So if you're on, let's say you're scrolling your feed for YouTube or scrolling your feed for Instagram, I want you to think about when you're consuming social media content, for example, as you consume it, you can consume it mindlessly, or you can consume social media content intellectually, which is what I actually do a lot of times too. You can consume it by scrolling and then stopping. And then when you stop, oh, wait, why did I stop? What made me stop? And then you look at it. Did you stop because of colors? Did you stop because of letter shapes? Did you stop because something appealed to your flesh? And maybe it was food. Did you stop just because you were hungry? Did you stop because they were going to meet a need? You know, did you stop because of the letters in the title? Like, what made you stop? And so that's what you want to be thinking about when you want to create a brand to appeal to other people. You want to actually create something that says, if I'm passionate about this and my service for them, or the what if for them is that, now I need something that's going to catch their eye so that they stop and give me a shot. And your shot might be an elevator pitch. It might be a short. It might be a this, but something's got to stop them to entice them to more. So when you stop them, you give them 10% of what you offer for free. And then at the very end of the offer of the 10% for free, you say, if you want more, this is the pathway to more. And the more costs money, or the more is your community, or the more is the whatever that you're monetizing, or the services or the product that you're selling, that becomes the more. So you have to have a way of stopping them amongst a flood of information coming at them. You've got to have a way of stopping them. So in order to stop them, you have to have something that's worthwhile for them to purchase, be it a service, a product, or whatever, assistance. And then you have to have something that's eye-catching enough that when they're being flooded with lots of marketing gimmicky things, that out of all those things, something about your stuff stops them, either the colors, the letters, the word choice, or just the limited wording that says exactly what you need them to say to trigger something either emotionally, intellectually, or something that they need, a solution for a problem that they have. And once you entice them, you give them like a 10% for free. And then the rest of it, they have to buy in. You got to switch them over from free to monetize. If you don't do that, you don't have a business, then it's a hobby. Yeah, that's what I would say. That's what I would say for branding. And you can't really mix your branding. And to be honest, that's been the biggest, if you want to ask me what's my biggest thing in my stuff, is, to be honest, marketing is very like one dimensional, and it puts a person in a box. And if you want to do three things, you just simply need three boxes. Like, you don't try to do three things out of one box. That's not how marketing works. One thing in one box. So you guys know, I'm a dance instructor too, right? But I'm never on my lives teaching dance. I mean, there's some remnants of it in there, because at one point I was mixing everything up, but there is a separate box for that. Does that make sense? So I don't try to mix it up. My social media things are for my talkie stuff, and then some people like on social media don't know why I ever teach dance, and that's fine, because this is not the forum where I'm trying to get people to learn dance. You know, where I'm teaching dance is usually someone else is marketing it. I show up and I just teach, and then I get paid, right? So that's one example, not mixing it. So like, even so, Mr. M, you know, on my Instagram is a little different, and it still needs to be cleaned up, right? That's a perfect example. That's not a good example, because I have some of my churchy stuff, some of my dancer stuff, some of my this, some of my that. All of it's mixed up. Basically, that whole page needs to be deleted and restarted. Does that make sense? So if I had to give you one piece of advice, is go look at my IG and just think, if yours looks like that, delete it and restart. Just start it fresh and only focus on one thing, and that's it. So if you have an IG and you're trying to sell clothing, only sell clothing on the IG. If you want to sell something else, open a second IG. If you are doing talkie things, only do talkie things about one topic. If you're gonna like be doing 2 or 3 different things, have 2 or 3 different channels. Because think of like television. Have you ever like put it on CNN, but then caught telenovelas? When you put the channel on CNN, you're expecting to get daily news, politics, world news, right? You put it on Al Jazeera, you want news. You put it on Univision, you want telenovelas, right? You don't want to turn CNN on and get telenovelas. You don't want to go to telenovelas and then get CNN. Does that make sense? So whatever you're doing, make sure it fits in a box. If it fits outside of the box, then create a new box and put it there. That's what I would say. And only, honestly, when you're starting off, just think about what's the one thing, like, if tomorrow was no longer here, what's the one thing that I want to be proud that I did? And just do that one thing. Just to start with that one thing, because if you're trying to do 3 things, you know, IG page is gonna look like my IG page, and it's just a mess to start over. So I don't even use my IG anymore. I'm done using it. I don't even use it. If you notice, I don't even use it, because it's like I've had it forever. Now I've got to like clean it up. This is why I hire people. But yeah. All right, so we're doing Ask Me Anything, and the questions are coming in. So let me get this thing going so I can get to these questions. I'm coming, guys. Hopefully that helps. Someone asked the question, they were asking about how long should one wait after 30? Is it 1 year courtship or less is a reasonable amount of time to truly ascertain compatibility? 1 year courtship is long enough. You're over 30, you don't need 2 years. 2 years for what? All you're going to end up doing is risk losing the person. So 2 years is too long. 1 year is enough time. If you don't know at 1 year, you also should move on. If you're not certain, then you're not certain. 2 years is not going to change a thing. I promise you. I've had plenty of like 2.5 year relationships, plenty of 4 year relationships. I learned nothing new after year 1. Nothing. I learned nothing new. And I can tell you 1, 2, 3, 4 different relationships that were long-term. I learned nothing new. And that's not even counting my marriage. I learned nothing new after 1 year, not one thing. So think to yourself, after 1 year, if you're not certain and you're trying to figure out whether to marry a girl, after 1 year, if you're not certain, ask yourself, what would make the difference? What information, what new information would help you cross over to marriage or cross over to engagement or proposal? When you think about it, it's not really about information. It's something in your instinct is saying no, or it's something in your instinct that's saying, maybe I need to keep fishing. Like, I would just say, if you're at a year's mark and you don't know, be in prayer, fast. I'd be fasting and praying about it. I'd be fasting and praying until I got an answer, until I got clarity. I mean, that's what I did. But I didn't do it before I got engaged. I did it after I got engaged. And so I ended up canceling my engagement. After God spoke, he was like, no. And I was like, okay, God. Should have asked you to begin with. But a year is more than enough time. I mean, if you really, really wanted to push it, 2 years tops. But really, I'm telling you from dating plenty of people, I've dated at least 5 people long term. Long term meaning over 2 years. I did not learn not one thing after year one. I dated 2 people for 4 years. I dated 2 people for over 2 years, and then I was married, right? So I will tell you, I did not learn one extra thing after year one. After year one, whatever red flags they had were visible, clear. I saw them, and all they were doing is like confirming what I already knew. So if somebody had like little fussy temper tantrums, all I saw was more of the same, more of what I already knew. If somebody was bad with money, all I saw was more of what I already knew. I just saw more of it. If somebody had a wandering eye, I just saw more of what I already knew. They just were in their flesh and checking other people out and trying to act up. That it was consistent. That was absolutely consistent every time. So you're not going to learn anything new. So then at the year mark, this is what I want you to think about. If you're not certain about a girl and a year has passed, I want you to think, what are the red flags? Or what is it in my head that's making me slow down? Because that's actually the issue. It's not that you need more data points. You need to vet the data points that you have that you're holding, because you're holding the information to unlock what the future is going to be like. So by then, if she's got, crazy, hot girl crazy episodes, I mean, I'm not saying I know them because I am a hot girl who acts crazy. I'm just saying. But you know what I'm talking about. The hot girl crazy episodes. If she has those, expect more of those. Expect more of those. If you notice that her temperament is hot one day, cold the next, expect that she does that hot and cold thing. Expect that. And then ask yourself, now that I'm holding her red flags, she's hot and cold, or she's got hot girl temper tantrums, or maybe she likes to spend a little too freely. Like, man, girl, do you check your bank account before you shop? Like, you start looking at what are the red flags, and then you ask yourself, can I maintain this? Can I sustain a marriage? Is she going to submit if I'm trying to adjust things? Because those little things are what gets bigger. I'll take it one step further. If you identify a red flag within 90 days, 9 times out of 10, that's the reason why you're going to break up. Every time. That red flag that you identify, you minimize it within 90 days. So in 90 days, if you have what I call like third-party issues, you know what I'm talking about? Like, you're going out with someone and you're kind of like on the verge of exclusive, or you're just getting exclusive. Like, you know how it's like fishy in the beginning, it's all messy because it's the worldly stuff. Well, you know how like there was some other girl that popped in the picture, or some other guy that popped in the picture in the first 90 days, and you're like, who is that? And you already have issue. When you start getting a sense that they position you to be jealous, and they're okay positioning you to be jealous in 90 days, they're not even trying to clean that up. They're like not trying to like tighten up and show you you're the one, make you feel special. When you start seeing all that, I can almost guarantee you the reason why you'll break up is because of a third-party issue. Because they showed you that in the very beginning, that their weakness is their flesh, or that other people, like that they have this like fear of a better option coming along. some people really truly have that. And when they are battling exclusivity because fear of a better option in 90 days, the typical reason why you break up is because they got out there a little bit, or they're trying to get out there, or their heart wants to be out there, but their body is still at home. And they have it in their head, fear of a better option. And so they're trying to get back out again. That's why they do it. That's why they do it. So you identify that in 90 days, and just know that that's probably the reason why at the end things go a little bit sour. So, I mean, what I've learned from that is I look for somebody who's more invested earlier in. You know, I want to see them more invested, because if they're more invested, then I don't have to worry about that particular issue. That issue's come up a couple of different times because in my BC days, I dated people that were in my social circle, which was so many beautiful people in my social circle, that even if you think, oh man, she's cute, like, I was average. In that circle, I was average, and those girls were the hot girls, and I was the average one. So there was always another more beautiful girl to entice a guy and to like drag him away. There's always that. And so I realized, like, okay, if I'm gonna date someone, I need to be their hot girl. I need to entice them more. Like, meaning whatever there is around, I should sense that they feel that way about me. Even if I'm not the 10, I should sense that they feel that way about me. Like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty, blah, blah, blah. If they think that I'm average and they're, you know, fiending to get to someone who's above average, then I should just move on right away. Just move on. Leave them there. Don't even spend the time. Don't even waste it. Let's see. So I think a year is plenty. If you're really, really, really pushing it, 2 years. But keep in mind, the more you do 2-year relationships, dude, like a decade is gonna pass, and you're gonna look up, and when that decade passes, dating gets harder. It gets harder. It gets harder because there's few people in the dating pool left that you would be interested in. So it's shrinking. It's shrinking. So I wouldn't play around with like keeping someone longer than you need to. You keep dating is to figure out who you're going to marry. As soon as you realize this person I can marry, you try to move toward that. As soon as you realize this person I'm not going to be able to marry, that's when you end it. Like, I know it sucks, but that's when you end it. Otherwise, I tell you what happens. If you keep somebody longer, you're just keeping them longer, and you're missing out on someone. Like, your dating pool is still shrinking, and you're sitting on somebody that you can't marry. And meanwhile, quietly, the dating pool quietly is shrinking more as you sat on that person. By the time you leave, the pool was like this when you realize that you should leave them. And then by the time you leave, the pool looks like this. That's what happens. Don't let that be you. Don't let that be you. So like, once you realize I can't marry her, like, just cut it and move on. I know you'll cry about it, but you'll heal. Oh, thank you for the compliments, Brenda. I love it when the ladies give me compliments, because I just know that they're being real ones. You know what I'm saying? That's why I always like give compliments to females. Because like randomly at the store, randomly in the bathroom, like, oh my gosh, I love your lipstick, whatever it is. And they know I'm being genuine, and so they just really receive it. And who doesn't want to get like a really genuine compliment from someone who wants nothing from them? Just someone who's like, wow, you're really pretty. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I needed to hear that so bad today. And then before you know it, you're in the bathroom with some girl and they're pouring their heart out to you. I mean, stuff that happens in my real life. All right, let me scroll back and get some of these questions, because we got a lot of questions, lots of questions. Okay, let me catch some of these. Somebody asked me a polite question: when did I last cry and what caused that? I last cried about a week and a half ago, and it was over a relationship that didn't take off. It failed to launch. So, and I was super disappointed because I liked him so much, but it did not take off. And so we're still single. That's what happened. So I cried about that. I cried about it. I prayed about it. I did nerdy science things and researched about it, but I'm okay now. Like I'm okay now. Like I ended up just like one day I woke up maybe a week ago and I said I've cried enough about it. Like I've grieved enough about it. But it was so painful. It was so painful. It was so painful because I don't like typically like love hard. Like I do love hard, but I don't normally like anyone. So then when I like someone, I'm all in. So then like either I'm all in or I'm not, I'm totally checked out, okay? There's no in between. There are the people that are like hitting me up going crazy and I'm like, I have nothing. And then there's when I finally like someone, I'm all invested. So it's for me always a hard fall if something doesn't launch and I wanted it to. So he's a beautiful person. I love him. I will always love him. And I have zero bad things to say. It just didn't take off. It didn't take off, and he's gonna make somebody an incredible husband. But yes, I cried like a baby. I cried like a freaking baby is what I did. Oh, that's so sweet. Somebody said they wanted to compliment me and they thought I was beautiful. Oh, I appreciate that. Yale, let's see. If I had superpowers for 24 hours, what would I do? I don't think I even want them for 24 hours. I don't think I want them. If it's not something that I can keep, then why would I want it for a day? I don't even want it for a day. I'm so practical, y'all. I'm honestly, I feel like I've always been the same way. Like I don't ever like crave like dating a celebrity or anything like that. That doesn't like normally come to mind. And I don't things that I can't keep, I don't even care about. If I can't have it forever, then there's no point in having it for a day. It's just useless. Um, but it's a good question. Superpowers? I don't know. I don't even think like that. I don't even think about stuff like that. My brain doesn't go there. I wish I could answer it for you though. Somebody said what ended my marriage? Immaturity on both parts. And it's not because I was too young to get married, because professionally I was like super mature, but um, too immature on both sides. Just too immature. I will tell you on my side what I did wrong is I picked a partner that I couldn't submit to. That's what I did wrong. Um, I picked a partner I couldn't submit to, and then I failed to submit. So I was not, I was, I was not saved back then either. So I didn't understand the value of submitting to a husband, and I didn't understand the value of selecting a partner that would lead me properly. I just thought like and I didn't have good relationships with the family, and I was so young and immature that I thought you don't marry the family. When you do, you marry the whole family. So when I didn't have a good relationship with the family, it hurt me so bad to like not have a mother-in-law who loved me, because I was so wanting that, to not like, I was so sensitive and I desperately wanted that, and I don't know why I did, because now I don't care. But like when I was younger, I did care. I did want that so much. I did want to feel like more mommy vibes from, other women, and I didn't get that. So to not have like a warm embrace, a big welcome, to not have like a cool baby shower, to not have someone walk down my aisle at my wedding that I spent tons and tons of money on, like it hurt me to my core. It hurt me and devastated me, and I was sensitive. So it was one of those things that I just wish it would have been different, but it is what it is, and I've forgiven. It's just, it's just it was the whole thing. I selected the wrong partner, and the families didn't like each other. That's a bad start right there. And we grew up very differently. That's a bad start right there. you know, I think people minimize these things, but whenever I talk to someone and I realize like we're on a date and we have this moment where we're talking about our childhood and there's things that were the same, and we giggle and we go back to that moment in time, like y'all, that means that when you're old and you're too old to have physical relations, it means you're gonna have stuff to talk about. Do you know what I mean? It means you're going to have other ways of feeling close to them just through life experience, even though you didn't share it at the same time. You maybe shared it in different locations. But yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. I dated a guy who was an immigrant one time, and I missed that a lot. I missed that, like, even though we were like a similar age, he grew up in a different country. So when I'm like talking about the Cosby Show, he didn't know what the heck I was talking about. You know what I mean? Like, it was like not a thing where he lived. So, like, you want to be able to have like something. It's attractive to be able to hold on to something similar, be it similar upbringing, childhood, faith, something. Those things help to, like, it's an area for you to explore when your physical intimacy is, down and in the dumps, and you've maybe aren't able to do it anymore, whatever, for whatever health reasons or something. You still need some kind of closeness. So yeah, my marriage ended because I was immature. I was immature. The devil did what the devil does. The devil lied to my husband, told him I was cheating and I wasn't. You know, and there's a lot. The devil does a lot of things to unravel a union, and he did all the things. So there was just a lot of unfortunate stuff. And if I were older, I would have been able to. I'm not gonna say older. It's not the word older. If I were in the faith and spiritually mature, those games would not work on me. If that makes any sense, I would have took all that mess to the prayer closet and prayed the devil off my marriage. Is what I would have done. That's what I would have done. I would have prayed the devil off my marriage, because what he did was a few simple tricks that worked for an immature couple who didn't have God at the center. The devil didn't even work hard to get rid of our marriage. He just laid a few booby traps, and we fell for each and every little one of them. Each one of us fell for them. And I'm as guilty as him in all of it. I'm as guilty as him, and I've had to do a lot of work to fix it. I've had to do a lot of work. I've had to do a lot of work. And yeah, that's all. Hopefully that helps. Yeah, I would say the reason why I do the ministry that I do, talking about passions, the reason why I do what I do for ministry, and I talk about dating and I talk about marriage, is because I'm passionate about it. Because when I look at where I lost years in terms of, like, depression, sadness, loneliness, going, just leaving God, just going into these desperately bad places, all of it came from a broken marriage. And I really hope to prevent broken marriages, either by helping people date in a more healthy way, or by telling married people to stop and pray for your marriage. That like, literally, those are things that I feel like, if I can save one marriage, I feel like, literally, do you know what it means if something I said makes a person slow down and pray and they don't get divorced? It means their kid doesn't have a harsh upbringing or impoverished upbringing, which is what's ahead after divorce. Typically, is parents work harder, they see their kids less, their kids end up with, insecure attachment styles later. And it becomes harder for their kid to get married. It becomes harder for their kid to feel secure in life. It feels harder for their kid to partner. And I'm trying to break that cycle, because I didn't do it well. I just want to help someone else figure that out. So that's really it. But I love that, Brenda. I feel you on that. So it says try a different poll. But. Someone says, am I involved in the community now? We have singles groups for my age, but I struggle to connect. There is a community, like, I just went to an abstinence conference over the weekend, which was really fun and cool. I'm not, like, that's a community that I'm in. I probably could be more active in that community, to be quite honest. I could be more active. There's also a local community in Atlanta that's not a Christian community, but it's I feel like it's a community for middle-aged people who are like corporate and attractive. So I suppose if I wanted to date, that would be a really good place for me to start because they're local people. They're people who, when I look at them, they look like they have the same lifestyle as me. So I wouldn't have to sacrifice much. I could just go meet someone and maybe kick something off. Transparently, I'm not like ready to date right now, so I'm not gonna be looking to do that. um but when I am ready to date, I will. I just, I'm not ready to right now. I just like, you know, I just finished exploring a certain situation and it didn't work out, so I just want my like time to myself. So I can't imagine like entertaining someone for the purposes of romance. It doesn't even like, it doesn't even come to my mind. It doesn't come to my mind at all. I just want my like my little quiet time for a little bit, if that makes any sense. And then I'll explore it when I get ready to, whenever that is. I don't know when it'll be. I mean, it could be next year. You know what I mean? It could be this year. I don't know. Like, I don't think it'll be this year. It'll probably be more like next year. But somebody said War Room. War Room the movie? Yeah, War Room. Okay, cool. It was a good movie. I saw it. Okay, got those questions. Let's snatch up the rest of the questions. You guys keep posting your questions in the chat because I'm going to take your questions one by one. And if you don't have a question but you have a topic, you can pop the topic in the chat and I'm going to take it. You can ask me anything. I'm going to answer any question you put in the chat. So if you feel like the chat's all over the place, it's because the questions are left and right. And so I'm just answering them. All right. Okay, I got another question in the chat. This question is, what are some great first date questions to get to know someone better that I would use that aren't generic? So what do you do for a living type of questions? Ooh, that's good. I'm the worst at first dates. No, I'm not. No, when I say I'm the worst at first dates, I don't plan anything. Only thing I do is I make sure I look good. I make sure I look good. That's it. I don't, like, when I say I don't plan anything, I don't plan what I'm gonna say. I don't show up with any expectation. Um, I'm just trying to just see how it goes. Like on my first date. Now, that being said, it's important for us to date intentionally. By date 3, we need to be popping off some questions and figuring out what people are trying to do with us. But my very first date, I'm usually mostly just making sure my safety is good, that I'm driving myself because I don't want anybody I don't know picking me up. Um, I'm going to be meeting in a well-lit place that's nice and public. And I'm making sure that I look amazing for the location that I'm going to. If it's something more casual, I'm casual. If it's something more eveningy, I want to make sure that I look extra hot, but not like in a modest way. you know. I want to talk about modesty really quick too in a second, but we'll get to it. Um, yeah, I don't even think much. When I go on a first date, I don't think anything. I don't think anything. In fact, to be honest, when I'm on a first date, I'm usually not nervous. And I'm usually not overly excited and I'm usually not overly nervous. I'm usually super neutral and it's more about me just putting myself together, collecting myself, make sure I get out of work on time and all that kind of good stuff. That's all I'm thinking about on a first date. And literally I just go there and I just let the conversation flow the way it does. I'm not thinking anything. I never plan anything on a first date. Never. I just don't. Um, I just don't. And here's what I say. What I'll tell you what I'm thinking. I can tell you that better than anything. On a first date, I'm not thinking anything. I'm not pre-preparing anything. But I'm more or less I'm available in my mind to receive data points. So I'm caching information. Although I'm not gonna look like I'm caching it. That's why my IG name is what it is, Mr. M. Because I'm caching information like a computer. I'm just caching it. I'm not storing it away. and then later on I'll come back to it. So as different topics come up, I'm just storing the information. And I don't say much. I just answer the question and talk. And, I'm storing the information though quietly, and I don't know why, I just do that. And then so I'm collecting data. By the second and third date, I'm putting things together. I'm trying to put pictures together and understand uh, psychologically where I think something's going. You know, is there any meaning behind something? I'm actually just trying to put stuff together. So, I mean, generic questions, like I said, I don't have any. And I'm not even sure it's something that I would want. Like, I would want on the first date for someone just to, like, talk to me like you talk to anyone else. Like, if you're at catching up with a guy that you knew, just talk. Just talk something and let's see where the conversation goes. Because I want to see if there is like some kind of cerebral chemistry. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm super cerebral. So I want to see, okay, we're going to like talk something and I'm going to be engaged, or they're going to talk something and I'll be like, checked out, Um, I think you need to focus like on the first date, looking good and doing the basic things well. Show up on time, look good, pay the bill, and then the rest of it, just let it flow. Um, for me, by second and third date, I'm trying to find out what's up. I'm trying to find out, okay, they asked me on a second date, so they probably think I'm cute, or they probably like the first date, or they like my personality. So I'm usually like, okay, so they like something. They're here again. By the third date, I'm like, okay, so they probably like me, but what does that mean? Does it mean anything? Because someone can like you and it doesn't mean anything. Like, they could like you and not want to, do anything with you. They could like you and just be ready to throw you back too. I mean, that happens all the time. Because they like you, but they love someone else. They like you, but they have other options. So liking you isn't enough. Like, what's their intention given that they like you? I want to understand more about that. Um, or what are their general intentions? By date 3, I want to know things like, are they a person who wants marriage? Do they want kids? Do they, what's their reasonable timeline? Are they more of a 5-year timeline, or are they more of a 2-year timeline? If somebody dates me on a first date and they're talking about 5-year timeline, I'm moving on, because I already know that's not going to work out. So, and I'm not going to pressure them. I just going to move on. Because I'm not up for a 5-year timeline. I'm not up for a 5 years of abstinence. No. It's not going to work. It's not even smart. So I'm just going to move on. I'm going to be like, oh, no, they need to go date somebody who's younger. That's what I'm going to say. A 20-year-old girl will give you 5 years. 30-something-year-old girl, we're not doing that anymore. We stopped those games a long time ago. Yeah, I'm not going to give you generic questions because my mind is not wired that way. I just want to see, like, do topics come up? Do I feel engaged? Are they good listener? Are they talking all over me? Are they a good listener? Are they respectful? Are they respectful to the waiter, waitress? Do they use nice language, or are they just generally using all kinds of profanity? I'm looking at those basic little things to give me a sense of their character, and whether I'm going to be safe with them, like, long term. Because no one is going to be on first impression mode and just go into the, like, crazy things, any of the craziest things in the world that you could say. No one's going to do that. So yeah, I don't have generic questions. I'm sorry. But if you wanted generic questions, a lot of times they have those dating cards that you can get, and that will give you some generic questions. But that's just personally not my style. I'm more like, let it go. Let's just see how it goes. And I want to see, do we have chit chat chemistry? Like, that's a type of intellectual chemistry is a thing. So I want to see, do topics come, and do they seem like, and do I feel engaged? Does it feel like he's listening? Do I feel like we can relate to each other? Um, yeah, I mean, maybe you want to explore, where do they grow up? How do they grow up? and see if you can find some connection points. I think the goal on date one is to try to find some connection points where you can have some moments where you're both like, oh, me too. Like, I think you want some moments like that on a first date. If you get to a moment where it's like you're talking about your childhood and they're like, oh, me too, that's a good sign. You want a couple of those on the date because you need these memorable moments that drive more things that are similar or in common, more connectivity. As soon as you're having dates and you're feeling like super different from the other person, that could mean you're off to a bad start. Even if you're attractive, as soon as the conversation puts you in a place where I think there's just too many differences, you have to know that the other person's probably low key scanning their brain for like, does this feel normal? Does this feel comfortable? Does this feel safe? Like the other person's scanning in their brain like a little computer, a supercomputer. And if it's too many things that are different, their brain computer is gonna say, abort. Does that make sense? If it's like too many new things to like hold on to, it's gonna say abort. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Welcome, everybody. We're doing Ask Me Anything. So you can ask any question in the whole wide world. And I'm taking your questions. I'm going to talk about modesty really quick. I just have to, really, really super fast. I want to talk about two different kinds of modesty. I know you guys probably saw, like, there's, like, videos of educators who like wear form-fitting clothes. So I think I personally would like schools to bring back a dress code for teachers because right now the world is giving a lot of excuses for what I'm going to call lack of modesty. The world's giving a lot of excuses. And the reality is we're talking about kids who are already overstimulated because they have access to corn with a P. Kids that are already young people, probably 7 and up, probably 8 and up, that have been, exposed to things that they shouldn't have been exposed to. So for a teacher to show up inappropriately dressed or just form-fitting clothes, I don't think that's helpful to a generation that's already struggling. I don't think it's helpful. I'll just say that. I wanted to say that because I just wanted to. And what you can wear at your dinner for a date, all fitted, is fine. Because you're on a date and you want to be attractive for your boo. That's fine. Like, it's not an issue for that. But what do you wear in front of like teenage kids? I think we need to think about that a little bit. So I would really appreciate if school administrators would actually put it in writing what is okay to wear and what's not okay to wear. And there's this excuse right now that people are shapely, and so that's just what they look like. It's just not true. It's not true. Yes, people are shapely, but I mean, I went to Catholic school. There are all kind of shapes that were in those outfits, and those shapes were covered up. And I will tell you what, an A-line dress covers up stuff. The end. You have a dress that comes up round neck. You could put that in like a whole, like, you could put that in their, like, their dress code. Round neck dress, A-line to the back of the knee. That solves this problem. Just for people who act like they cannot solve a problem of basic modesty for instructors at school, there is a solution. It is called a dress code. The dress code could be an A-line dress. That's it. We only allow A-line dresses for female instructors at this school. The end. That solves the problem. They'll all look like they're 1950s, but guess what? They will look cute. They will be clean. They'll be properly dressed. If you want them, they can wear heels or not heels, and they'll still look perfectly nicely dressed. They'll be professional, and they will not be distracting anyone. That's my thought. But I would love to hear what you guys think about that one, because all I see online is a bunch of excuses, and this is how I know that like I am not built for this world anymore. Because where I grew up, you just throw an A-line dress on that and you're finished. I don't understand. An A-line dress, people don't know what an A-line dress is. An A-line dress is a dress that's shaped like this. It's shaped like an A. So if your butt is on the bottom, this is your waist, where it's the closest part. So the dress is like, these are your shoulders. The dress comes like this, from shoulders to waist. There's your waist. And then it comes out like an A around your bottom. So it's not fitting on your bottom. It's fitting like an A at the bottom. So shoulders, waist. So the A is the bottom, kind of, right? That A-line style works perfectly fine. When I was younger, we used to get our like dresses made. So you could get an A-line dress made. There's like this basic pattern since the 1950s. We still wear them in the summer, by the way. We all still wear them. We look very cute for the summer with our flower dresses. We have this little spaghetti straps and the little A-line dress. Yeah, A-line dress, round neck, A-line dress, cup sleeves. If you make that your dress code, all this modesty stuff goes out of the window. It's no longer an issue. It's a solved problem. So the reason why the problem's not getting solved is because whoever is writing the rules, either the school board or the principal, I'm assuming it's the school boards, whoever's writing the rules is acting like they cannot activate these rules. I feel so sorry for kids that they have to like try to learn math. I mean, I went to Catholic school. My instructor who taught us chemistry had muscles. Needless to say, it's a black guy with some big old muscles. Needless to say, I learned no chemistry. So, and this guy was perfectly well dressed with a shirt and slacks. I wish April was in here. She'd tell you about it. The girls were going crazy for this guy at his desk. I don't even know how he survived. He had a fiance. They didn't care. They were at his desk. He was in his early 20s. He was fit like crazy, muscles coming out of everything. Even though he wore like long sleeve shirts and slacks, you could see his form, right? So girls were going crazy. The only thing more you could do was like you could see it if he had you couldn't do anything with that. You could see it. So I don't know. That's my thought. So I was gonna tell you guys about like I was scrolling a video before I went live, and there's a gentleman who had plenty of nice things to say about providing for women and taking good care of them, and he's promoting his business, but he's doing it shirtless. And he's shirtless, like, in a room like me. Like, so imagine I'm in a room like this, and I'm a dude, but he's shirtless. So he's not on a beach. Like, it didn't even make sense. He's shirtless with all of his tats. And it's just like, dude, put your shirt on. Because you're not, or go to a beach and film at the beach. If you want to be shirtless, then go to the beach so that you don't look thirsty with your shirt off. Like, at least you look like you fit. Go to your beach and do a shirtless video. If you're gonna be on your couch, put some clothes on. Nobody wants to see your tattoos. I don't know. Y'all know it's I'm in rare form today. Leave me alone. All right, let's take your other questions. Let's see what you guys got. From my perspective, what are the basics, the qualities that say a man is ready or prepared to be a husband? Ooh, the qualities that say a man is ready to be a husband, meaning he can take care of himself, meaning has his own job, pays his own bills, saves his own money, even if it's not a lot of money, but he's figured out how to do it on his level. So financing his things and stewarding of the finances is the first biggest thing, because if he's not doing that, then he's not in a leadership role anymore. He's no longer a lead, because nowadays women take care of themselves. So if the guy's not taking care of himself, then he's like basically a dependent in the household. Do you guys see what I'm saying? If he's not taking care of himself, even teenage kids are working. So if a guy's not taking care of himself, he's now a dependent in the household. He's not a head of household. So I think even if you look at it from a tax perspective, head of household has a meaning. So he needs to be head of household. And when I say that, I mean at least um, taking care of himself and like stewarding his money well enough. Even if it's a little bit of money, it's fine. Just steward what you have. And like make sure that your budget takes care of what you have and that you don't have any big surprises coming out of nowhere. It shouldn't be. You should know, like, okay, when my income, I can afford this car, this place to live, this and that. And there are like 3 or 4 surprise bills that come up per year, and then I set a money aside for that. That's it. Like just basics. And then in terms of like his emotions is kind of a big deal. So if he's got like a lot of childhood stuff, hopefully he went and got Christian counseling from me. Hopefully he got Christian counseling from me and that he's doing better. Just to explore his childhood stuff and talk through that with someone and understand how it affects his ability to be vulnerable and connect with a woman and fight fairly and resolve conflict, because sometimes people struggle with conflict resolution because of their childhood trauma, and sometimes they struggle with vulnerability and really getting emotionally connected to someone because of their childhood trauma. So so I would hope that he'd have that part together. Not to say he's perfect. I don't think we need to come show up all healed. You got to know where your little wounds are. You got little wounds here and there, and how does that affect you? If you have awareness, then like I have wounds, and then I have awareness of where my wounds are. So like here's a perfect example of my inner work. My childhood wounds, you would not believe this, but this is still true. My childhood wounds have me where my flesh wants to not share things. So if I feel hurt, if I feel in the relationship hurt, wounded, neglected, my flesh wants to withhold information, withdraw. Like I'm kind of like a dude. Does that make sense? Like my flesh wants to withhold it because I don't feel safe to be vulnerable and share it. And then I have to tell myself, self, you can't solve the problem that you don't share. And you know this is how you react. Sometimes you try to withhold. And you may withhold for a while, but then eventually it's gonna make you cry at some point, right? So self, I know you want to hide this and try to bury it, but you can only bury it for so long and then it comes out and then you'll be emotional. So rather than do that, why don't you share it along the way? I have to tell myself, hey, this is a vulnerable moment. You can do it. You can do it. You can share this. I just have to talk myself through it, because it's difficult to share when you've had wounds and you feel like someone is gonna like basically reject you. So even if like I do get rejected, it's like self, we learned to share despite our discomfort. We are growing. So like that's like what I've had to say recently to myself. When someone things didn't work out, I said, self, it's important for you to position yourself to share things. And even if things don't work out, you grew because you chose to be vulnerable versus chose to withhold. You chose to do that. That's growth for you. And if that's your only win, it's a win. Move on. So, like, I have to talk myself through that because I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to have to do that, but then I talk myself through it. So it doesn't actually impact the relationship. It's more of an internal dialogue. The relationship doesn't get impacted, but I have to fight to do it. Does that make sense? So I would think that the guy would know, okay, I'm wounded, and based on that wound, I don't want to share. I want to withhold. And then they would say to themselves, okay, even though I want to withhold, I'm just going to go ahead and share. I'm going to have myself share because that's the work, because I can't leave her out. I've got to bring her in. I've got to work through this. So even though it's hard, does that make sense? So the emotional things, know your childhood wounds, because honestly, Your childhood wounds are the things that will cause more likely than not the most of your issues in your marriage are going to be coming from that. So if your parents got divorced and you didn't feel like you had love, then you're going to be a person who's anxiously fighting for love in your marriage. And you need a partner who, you know that, so you know how you respond to moments of silence, and then he knows that or she knows that, so that she knows, okay, this triggers them, I'm going to try not to trigger them. And then if you start feeling a certain kind of way, then you just kind of, okay, I know I'm triggered, but I know this is in my head. My flesh wants to react all crazy right now, but I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to measure myself, and I'm just going to share that what I need. This is what I need right now. I need a phone call like for the next 2 nights at this time because it's going to help me. So if you're like that, you're going to probably need to tell your partner exactly what you need, especially if your partner is an opposite mindset. So if you get all anxious because you got neglected when you were a kid, some kind of way, it's not to say you have bad parents, but if your inner spirit felt neglected, maybe you're a latchkey kid or something, and you just felt neglected growing up. If you felt neglected, you tend to be a little bit more anxious in a relationship. And then when people disappear, instead of feeling secure because you know they're going to be there, you'll freak out. Oh, they disappeared for a day, or they disappeared for a week. Like you'll just freak out, right? Your freak out things will push people away because they're like, what is that? So you got to communicate to them, hey, I have a tendency of like overreacting. If I have too much silence, could like maybe we decide to communicate, you know, this time on most nights so that like, you know, I feel peaceful or whatever. Can we try to like make a plan and make it very specific and explain why? Because people that are opposite of you, if you're like that, they do better when they understand with clarity, not generically, can we talk more? Because that's like vague. Talk more could be like twice a week. Or you could say can we talk more, meaning, and then specifically make it measurable, meaning like, could we check in on, you know, these day and times? Or do you feel like that's too much? You know, like I'm open to how you might like want to roll it out, but can we try that? Something where you can just actually say exactly what you need, and then the person either buys in or they're like bouncing. Hopefully if you got a loving partner, they're going to be like, oh yeah, that's not a big deal, I can do that. And then now you have something that helps you feel more secure. So yeah, I think going through your childhood stuff, knowing all your gaps, and then knowing when you're being triggered, and then knowing how to work through it, that's good. I think what happens with guys, big things that I notice with guys is men being like struggling with self-control, and struggling to be decisive. I think those are 2 things that when men do that, I don't think it's a good thing. When they're struggling with self-control and struggling with being decisive, it can be a problem. I think it can be a problem, because a woman that's looking for someone to like stand up and head the household, when the guy is all indecisive or wishy-washy, imagine she's not going to want to submit now, because she senses shakiness, and then she can't trust it, and then she wants to either control or she wants to run and abandon because she feels like there is no control there, there's no safety net there. So I think that's important. But I think that kind of gets it. Like, I think if you can do the basic things of money, going through your childhood, making sure your emotions are straight, making sure you know when you're triggered and how to handle it, and how to communicate that to your partner before you blow. You know, you got to communicate it early and often. Things, I think you're okay. I think it's okay. You don't have to be perfect. Like, I'm not perfect. I'm still like, I still got my stuff that I work through. I still have to sit down and count to 10. I do. I still have to do that. I still have to count to 10. Because I know my inner reaction is not like, my inner reaction is doing something that's too much. And I'm like, okay, well, how is my partner going to perceive if I show him how I'm feeling on the inside? Probably he'll perceive that negatively. So how can I communicate what I'm feeling in a way that's not over the top, you know? So I've had to learn that. I've had to learn that. And some people never learn it. Some people just don't work on themselves. They never learn it. But I've had to learn that. I think if you can do that, you're prepared. I think if you can consider like basic things like, do you want kids, yes or no, like basic things, you know, because a woman's going to ask you, do you want kids, where do you want to live, are you open to moving, they're going to want to know, can you provide, what's the level of provision that you can provide, and you're going to have to know whether you're okay with a woman working, yes or no. Women want to know that. They want to know, can you provide, and what's the level? And the level meaning, is she going to have to work, yes or no? Is it optional or is it required? Women want to know that. Women want to know that so badly now. If you can offer that up as information, it makes it less awkward, because people are, you know, there's people are less conservative now. I think women feel a little awkward asking, but some women really want a traditional lifestyle. Um, I certainly would give up all this stuff and just do the traditional lifestyle if it was just, you know, how do I describe it? Like, you can't bring me down 10 levels and then, oh, put me in a, you know, trailer and then I get my traditional lifestyle. Like, that's not cool. Keep me in my level that I'm at now. And then, yeah, I think a lot of women want that. They aren't going to say it because it's not popular. And why exhausting ourselves is popular? I don't know. The devil's a liar. All right, let's see. To not know the Cosby Show is a red flag. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, we're doing Ask Me Anything. If you guys just hopped in, make sure you like really quick and make sure you subscribe. What are some of the non-mainstream ways, aka dating or going on multiple dates, to get to know a girl more, yet not come off as romantic just yet? Ooh, ooh. That's a good question. Some of the non-mainstream ways of getting to know someone without being in a date. Just find the hobbies that you love. Find the hobbies that you love and do them. You will automatically be in those situations. Like meetup groups. Simple, super simple. Like, they have meetup groups for photography. You got meetup groups for hiking. You got meetup groups for like skating. Meetup groups for activities, biking and triathlons, and just find a couple, like, you can find 3 activities that you like. It'll get you connected to 3 different types of people, and you just go do those activities. Now, at the end of the day, if nothing turns out to be romantic, you got to do plenty of activities with plenty of people, and perhaps you like get like another connection point, go to some Christmas party, and then you meet the love of your life at the Christmas party. So networking is also good. um do 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 I think I always tell women conferences is a good way to meet guys. You go to some conferences, you're gonna meet some guys. You're gonna meet some guys who have jobs. You know, if you're looking for a guy who can like provide and whatnot, go to conferences. And yeah, go to conferences. Go out of town. Was wondering the backstory behind your Insta name for the for the longest. Thank you for sharing. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, my backstory for my Instagram name is Montana, Hannah Montana, right? So my name is Hannah, right? So people always were calling me Hannah Montana, Hannah Montana. Then that stupid song came out and they were like, Hannah Montana, Hannah Montana, Hannah Montana. So people were always calling me Hannah Montana. That's why the first name is Montana. People kept calling me that and I just went with it. The cash part comes from a play on words. It's a play on a couple of different things. This is my BC days, so like don't judge me. Um, it's a play on the fact that I was about getting my money, right? Cash. And then it was a play on like the word cachet, the like very suave thing. And then it's a play on the word for computers because computers cache information. And I don't remember everything all the time, but some kind of way I cache information, I just store it. And like I might first date store a bunch of information, and then by date 3, if things are not lining up and the stories are changing, I'm like the cache is in there, and it's like it's notifying me that there's a mismatch, like between behavior and words, or between earlier statements and newer statements. My computer up here caches it, and it notifies me, warning, warning, inconsistency. This is when I become a weirdo. Just like that. You thought I was normal, and just like that, I became a weirdo. Yeah, that's where that Instagram name comes from. It's a play on the 3 words for that. Um, let's see. Next question. What makes a long-lasting marriage? A truly till death or rapture do us part type marriage? Oh my God, you should write books. um, so yeah. Um, I'll say the question again. What makes a long-lasting marriage? Until death do you part kind of marriage. I think asking a lot less about me, and asking more about them. So when you look at marriage as like your reasonable service, and you looking at it as your reasonable service to God, I think that's helpful, because your partner is going to make you mad sometimes. And I think if you can think of them the way God thinks of them, and like look at them when they're making you mad, you know how your kids can sometimes make you mad. So when they make you mad, remember that they are still growing. So on the totem pole of them going from spiritually immature to spiritually very mature, they might be in a grown body, but they might be like a little baby. And that's actually how God sees us. God sees us as like little babies. So when you're struggling in marriage, but then you remember that in ways God's looking at this person like a baby, they're still being worked on. And when you take some things to prayer, you have to start discerning when to take stuff to them, and when to be like, I'm going to hold out on this one today, and I'm going to take this one to prayer, and I'm going to wait a couple days, and then I'll try to talk about it after I pray. Stuff like that I think is really helpful. I think really anticipating your partner's needs, like if your partner is wise enough to share their vulnerable things, never using the vulnerable things against them, and using the vulnerable things to love them better. So, what does love them better look like? If they share with you that they had a lot of, I don't know, a lot of people in their relationships have just like up and left ghosted. A lot of people just up and ghosted. And they feel like it's hurt their self-esteem, and it's made them feel anxious about a sudden departure in a relationship. Then you can do something by reassuring them more often that when things are going bad and you have a fight or something, you can say, hey, I know we're having a tough day, but however, if you still love them, say, I still love you, and we'll get through this. Let's just have like a little rest, and then we'll come back to the table in a few hours. We will get through this. We can make it through this. Like this little light little forces of reinforcement of like verbally, we're going to get through this. I'm looking for a way to make adjustments. I'm just trying to picture like what's doable and what's going to be sustainable. Like saying things like that and meaning it, I think it goes a long way. And it goes a long way for someone who gets all frazzled because they think you're going to disappear and leave as soon as something goes wrong. Because remember, you might be dating someone whose dad up and left. That changes them for life. That means when they see man as unreliable. And they're trying to get to a point where they can trust that man's reliable. But to this point, man has not been reliable. And maybe every guy after that has up and left. So when they see a silent period, maybe you're processing something. Maybe it's totally innocent. But you might be processing something for 2 or 3 days and they feel like, uh-oh, re-triggered wound. Alert, alert, alert. This guy's about to disappear. And they're freaking out. Like that's, if you can start to understand like how their childhood wounds and their relationship wounds has formed them, informed their brain, and then you can say, well, rather than me throwing it in your face, like nobody ever loved you, nobody ever, like, that's abusive, right? Rather than using it to be equally abusive, you can actually use the same information and figure out how to, like, okay, how do I anticipate that if I do this, they're probably going to feel a little frazzled. Let me not do that. Let me just check in more often. You know, if I don't do this, they're going to be 1, 2, 3. Well, then let me take more time to be more transparent and more frequently transparent. Like that same person can be settled. And it's no different from like, you know, sometimes you have like maybe a pet that's been through a lot. Maybe they've been through even some abuse or something. And at first they come to the house and they're all like frazzled. But after a while, they may start feeling settled and you know, it's how you treat them. It's how you love on them. It's how you show them that you're going to feed them regularly. You're going to care for them, that you're never going to hit them. And even when you're upset, you tell the dog something and then like, okay, and then you hold them. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, people, we just get older, but a lot of the stuff is the same. We just get a little bit older. If you can anticipate what they need and start just giving some of those things and serving them, it'll be okay, I think. I don't think we have to be all mocked out perfect. I think we need people that understand our imperfections, and we need to be people who are working on our imperfections, you know? Like working on them to evolve a bit, but aware of them, aware that they exist, aware that we're not innocent, you know? So the question was, what do we do to have a lasting marriage? Anticipate each other's needs and try to fulfill them. Pray a lot against the enemy, and pray a lot that God's building you up. I think have healthy boundaries in a marriage. We talked a little bit about it before. Once you're married, you can't be having all these opposite sex friends. So literally cutting off stuff that doesn't make sense. So anything that looks like it could create a vacuum or an issue where it could be destructive to your marriage, you cut those things off by the root, because you don't want to give the devil room, because he will take a mile if you give him just an inch. So some healthy boundaries. I'd say consider getting like in the church, find as a man, find an elder man who's married who can mentor you. And so like if you're struggling in some ways, they should be married and they should be older, because as a young man, when you go to an older man and say, I'm struggling in the intimate department, my wife's not doing this and doing that, the older man's going to understand and feel you. A younger man is going to be like, oh, she's not doing this and that. If he's not in the church, he's going to be like, dude, get rid of her. Just replace her. You know, an older man's going to understand that replacing a person is hard, and it comes with a lot of risk, financially, emotionally, and otherwise. In society, it comes with a lot of risk. So an older man is going to be more paced about making a big rip and change. They understand you just can't do that. Or like, even if you can do it, it may not be profitable for you to do it. Just because you can't doesn't mean you should, you know? And they can also just help you navigate like women who are being tricky. I mean, not every woman is a good woman, let's be honest. If you end up with like someone with like really bad spirits and stuff, they can help you navigate that a little bit. Some of it you're gonna have to navigate with prayer, and at a certain point, if it's ever time to move on, they can help you understand if it's time to move on. You know what I mean? Because most of the time, I find people don't need to actually move on. People need to work harder at their marriage. That's what I find. Most of the time. Most of the time, it's fixable. You just move on, switch partners, and get a new problem with a new person. And it's not better. Life is not better at all. It's just different. Hopefully that helps for that question. So what are some of the great thoughts about modesty, and do they wish they could I do wish they would bring back modesty. Um I'm not a person who's like super duper like, oh my gosh, let's be extra modest. I'm not like that, but like I was just talking about the kids. Like kids need to be in an atmosphere to learn. It's kind of like when I said earlier, when I go to church, I want to be in an atmosphere to worship God. So I don't really want to look to the left and see this ex-boyfriend, look to the right, see that one. I don't want my church home to be like a house of ex-boyfriends. I want it to be a house of prayer, you know? So I don't want any distractions in my church home. I just personally don't want that. And I know it's important to like be in church and try to find someone who's godly, but, I don't want to be in my own church home and then have all these exes because things didn't work out with this one, that one, and this one. I just don't want that. That's, to me, toxic. Um, it's just toxic. So, yeah, my thoughts on modesty. I don't think this really is a conversation about men so much. I mean, I think it kind of goes back to the heart. Like, so the guy that I just saw online, I think he mentioned having a wife. So I'll tell you, if I'm his wife, I know what he was doing. He took his shirt off for the gram to get the views and the likes, let's be honest. And he did have a decent body, so that wasn't an issue. But if I'm his wife, I'm not feeling that. I'm like, no, we don't need you to do that to get likes and views. We need you to put your shirt on. That's what I would have told him. But that's just me. To each your own. Maybe she's into that and she likes him. But I think if he's shirtless, he should be at a beach. He should be at a. I think modesty means location appropriate attire. If you're at a club, you can look like you're at a club. If you're at a beach, you can look like you're at a beach. If you're at a wedding, you should look like you're at a wedding. If you're at school, you should just not look distracting for kids. That's all. Knowing that they have crazy hormones, plus the food supply messes up their hormones more. And knowing that they need to be in an atmosphere to learn the same way I need to be in an atmosphere to worship at church. They need to be in an atmosphere to learn. It's just, they don't need a distraction. Someone said, feminism says we're supposed to be equal, so money should not matter based on feminism. Just saying. I'm not into modern day feminism. I'm into biblical feminism. So I don't understand the question though. Are you saying that? I mean, I don't aspire to be equal to a man. So if you're asking that, like, I just wish to clarify that. I'm not looking to be like an equal. I want the guy to be stronger than me and be ahead over me. That's what I'd be looking for. I'm not necessarily looking for someone to be my equal. I mean, I want someone who's stronger than me, who I'll naturally submit to, who I just naturally respect. That's what I'm looking for. But to each their own. Like people who are into 50-50, half at it. Like that's a whole nother world. That's for you. I honestly think that it's hard for men to be fully invested when they haven't invested anything. That's what I think. And By the way, I've seen a number of guys, I've just watched it, go from girl who can take care of herself and they're doing all the 50-50 stuff, and they find a girl of lesser means and they're doing everything for her. And as they're doing everything for her, they are actually more invested in the relationship. This is what I've observed. But like I said, to each their own. Like, if you're okay with 50-50, then do 50-50. If you love that Dutch stuff, do that. I mean, anybody who does, I've never had a guy who won that battle. I've been on like 1 or 2 dates where somebody tried to do that Dutch stuff and I outweighted that tab. I just sat there until they paid for it. I didn't say anything. I just sat there. I sat there and they understood. They were just sitting there thinking like, no, I'm not going to pay for it. No, you invited me. I'm not going to pay for that. And I also didn't order the lobster. So it's more the principle, because even on the date, it's not like I would have spent a lot of money. I don't drink, so that ends that. That's not like $10 each right there. I'm just ordering a little bit of food and that's it. So my tab is not going to be, in any case, it's not going to be more than $60 ever, anywhere, pretty much. It's not, because I'm not going to be eating and eating and eating and eating. Even a nice place, it's not going to be like, if you go to a nice place and it's like some beautiful steak, if you end up throwing down $100 on me, well, you're at a nice place. That's what it costs then. But if it's a regular place, you're probably going to spend like $30-$40, maybe 50-60 if it's like a little bit higher end, because I'm not going to be eating all that food. I'm just going to eat a little something and be done with it. But don't let me get comfortable now. Don't let me get into relationship comfort and then I'm just eating like comfortably. Oh yeah, then you might pay some money. All right. What's a sign, or one of the signs of a good woman, a truly Christian woman? I like that X had said the Bible describes a woman of God. I like that. That's always good. But practical stuff here, practical. What are the signs? The question again is, what is the sign, or what are the signs of a good woman, a truly Christian woman? I think anytime we're looking at anything Christian, anything, we have to look at the heart. We have to look at the heart. What do you think they were really trying to do? Just look at like what I just saw with that video. The man's talking about relationships. He was talking good, but his shirt was off. So I had to ask myself, what was he trying to do? Like, what was he actually trying to do? What did he try to do that he failed at doing? He's trying to use his body to get as clickbait. That's what he's trying to do. It's obvious. I'm sure it worked somewhat. That's what he was trying to do. I think everything that you're looking at like the heart of it. Like, what were they trying to do? Sometimes things will look a little bit fishy, but you could tell their heart went into that. What are the signs of a truly Christian woman? I think you have to just observe people. I think you have to observe people and observe them quietly and silently. And that goes for men and women. I think you need to observe them. Observe them when they are like on, and just observe them when they are not really aware that you're observing. And try to see if there's duplicity, meaning like a difference between what they say they are and what they actually are. That, I think, is the one key. If I had one latch for it on both sides, men and women, look for duplicity. Because I've not seen someone, in general, that's the factor that I find off, is if I look back, I'm just counting back at my relationships even. People being better at home. Sometimes people are like a bit better in public than they are at home. In some cases, you see people that know how to act like the happy couple in public. And then at home, they're kind of like ignoring you or kind of somewhat nasty. That is duplicity. That is a clear sign that things are not going to go well long term, because they cannot sustain keeping up with the same behavior. So if they're like super duper like lovely sometimes and then they go cold, what is going on with them that they can go drop cold like that? Because imagine the ups and downs of a marriage, someone dropping cold on you like that. That's the level of rejection that you feel. It would be raw rejection, because there's something about a partner rejecting us. It's just so raw. I think duplicity is the biggest thing, because you'll see it in stuff like someone says they believe in Jesus. They say, oh, Jesus, oh, I love Jesus. He's my Lord and Savior. But then you see that they honor him with their lips, but not with their heart. You know, maybe for women, what's common that would typically be a problem is like a control thing. And what's common is, and control thing is either like a spirit of witchcraft. Sometimes it's kind of like Jezebelic kind of stuff. Sometimes you see that stuff going. I think you should be careful with someone who's like overly controlling, or you're seeing the control kind of come up here and there, where they ask you to do something and then out of nowhere they take it on themselves and stuff. You have to ask in those scenarios, am I not leading properly? Or do they have a heart that wants to control, wants to take back and usurp authority? Because that is the curse that came to women after the Garden of Eden, is that we would always want to usurp authority, and that we're battling that in an ongoing way. Some people battle it more than others. I would look at their close friendships. And so, for instance, one person that I dated, I noticed he just had toxic everything. It's always someone he's battling, fighting, not getting along with. And I was like, why does it seem like dysfunction or fighting is following you everywhere? And it was like fighting with people everywhere. It was always finances getting messed up everywhere. And I realized that what was in common was him. It's like he didn't steward money properly. He found himself in the flesh with different women, and then he like struggled a lot. So a lot of things he brought on himself, and he fought with a lot of people, different people. So he literally had a lot of beef with different people. I would look at someone who's got a lot of beef with different people, because why do you have so much beef with different people? Why do you even have that problem? Usually they're not that innocent. That's what I would say. I would say look at their relationships, look who they're close to, look how they interact with family. That doesn't tell you the whole story, because families can be odd, but look how they interact with family. Look how they're like, if they're super disrespectful or respectful to family members, close family members, because that says something. Because you know what? At our ripe old age, adulthood, if we're not getting along with family, rather than be around them and be toxic and mean, it's better to just not be around them. It's better to avoid them. So why would you go around family and then use foul language or do disrespectful things? Then as an adult, you would just not go around family. But if they're willing to go around and then be rude, there's something about them that's got like an abusive side to them. So you got to be careful. Like those things are a big, big deal. But so sometimes you're looking for identifying a Christian woman by looking to rule out non-Christian women. That's what I'm saying. Rule out the wrong ones, and whatever's left is probably okay. Now, somebody who says they're a Christian, there should just be fruit. There should just be fruit. Simple as that. If they say they love God, there should be fruit. Somewhere you're seeing it. And if they're showing a lot of duplicity throughout in their life, then they may just be spiritually immature. They may love God, but they're just still growing. They're in the very in the early days of it. So maybe they're just a brand new Christian. And you could be 40 and be a brand new Christian. So it's not age related, it's sanctification level related. So yeah. Okay, guys, it is just a little bit late over here, so I'm gonna hop off, but super good. Like, I mean, excellent. I would call this an excellent Ask Me Anything, actually. I would say that. Just looking to see if I missed any questions in here. I'm looking to see if I have any other questions. It's just hard to, social media is like, the list is super long in there. So I'm just looking to see if I have any other questions. None over there. Oh, yay! Mr. M, yay, yay. Yeah, you always got good questions, so that makes it easy. That makes it super easy. You're very organized. Like, you actually list your questions out. It's so good. It's so good. Okay, Mr. M, I have one last question for you. Can you pop in the chat the question that you had about the Roman Empire calendars? I do want to actually research it, because remember, I was like super busy before and I didn't have a chance to go research it. Can you pop that question in the chat? Because I want to go research it. It was something about the calendar year. Why is it different from the regular one? Something like that. Can you pop of that? You know what I'm talking about? And you came back a couple times and I meant to research it. And then I'm like, dang it, I don't have the question written down. So it still it comes to mind every now and then. I'm like, I want to research that question. Yeah. Well, let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Yeah, Prince, I'll pray for you. I don't see it. Looking. I'm going to research it though. I was asking, is hearing about it, does it make sense? that the start of the new year in the USA begins in the winter. The start of all creation should be spring. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. I will research it. I will research it. I'm curious. Someone says, what are my thoughts on there's supposed to be a space Atlas space project coming to Earth? I don't know much about that. I'm gonna have to research that. I'm gonna have to research that. Every now and then y'all get me. Every now and then. You know where you guys get me? You guys get me when it's like on like current events and I've been off in my little quiet place. Yeah. All right, guys. Time for me to go. I know it's getting late, so we're gonna make typos this time of day. So, anywho, it was super good. Obviously, an excellent, excellent Ask Me Anything. I didn't get to Exodus today, but it's all good. I was in the mood to like just do Q&A. Sometimes it's like that. I probably would have like, oh, God honors all of it. He knows what I'm doing. I'll get to Q&A. I'll do Exodus tomorrow. Tomorrow's Sunday. Tomorrow's church day. We get some church in the house tomorrow. And we'll probably get a Q&A too. I had a very good weekend though, so. Oh, but Mr. M, I did a power hour today and it lasted like 2 or 3 hours. I was like, okay, I'm gonna like do this and do that. And then I just kept cleaning. So I just kept cleaning. So remember we were talking about how do I stop procrastinating? Just like initiate a power hour of whatever you hate doing. And then like I did that today and it was like 3 hours later. I kept going because once I make it like almost like a competition to myself, like I'm gonna go and I'm actually like running around, I'm gonna go as fast as I can for an hour and all I gotta do is an hour. By the time I make it to the 1 hour, I never stop at the hour. I always go a little longer. And today I went like maybe 2 hours. And then I got hungry and that's what stopped me. I'm like, oh, I'm hungry. I need food. Anywho, yeah, power hour will fix your procrastination. Alrighty, guys. I'm going to hop off. Talk to you guys next time. Bye, everybody. Bye, 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 bye. Bye. Bye, guys.